This is Muntaha and this is episode 1. I have read the book called Fatal Flaws: How a Misfolded Protein Baffled Scientists and Changed the Way We Look at the Brain. The book was written by Jay Ingram, a Canadian best-selling science author who has achieved many honorable and distinctive roles. He was the first host of the Science Canada Discovery Channel program called The Daily Planet. He also hosted CBC's national science radio broadcast called The Quicks and Quirks, and was an honored member of the Order of Canada. He has 11 other amazing bestsellers, but for me, Fatal Flaws is the best one by far and holds the cake. This book was an amazing, intriguing, and information-filled. When I first picked up the book, I didn't think it was going to be as good as it was, since it was about prions and misfolded proteins, which I did not exactly have an idea of and know exactly what they were. But in the first chapter, I figured out exactly what a prion was. A prion is a misfolded protein. They are protein molecules with no genetic material at all, yet they can infect, multiply, and kill. The most controversial and devastating prion disease was BSE, bovine spongiform encephalopathy. It was a disease that absolutely ruined the British meat industry, and any consumption of the affected meat gave humans a disease called spongiform degeneration of the brain and spinal cord. The disease came to be in around the late 80s to early 90s. BSE was most likely spread by cattle eating feed that was contaminated. Meat and bone meal, MBM they call it, which was given to the cows prior to the outbreak. About 180,000 cows died from this disease. The symptoms of this disease was clumsiness, aggressive behavior, and confusion in the animals. The disease was recorded in Pitsham Farm in Sussex, then began to spread at an alarming rate. That's when it got in the newspaper and the public found out. The public began comparing it to scrap pie disease found in sheep, and no one could stop talking about it. Scrap pie was also a prion disease, but was a lot different than BSE. For example, if a hamster was shot with scrap pie, it got the disease, but it was immune to BSE. Minks were given scrap pie injected food resisted, but when given BSE, it turned it into its own mink version of the disease. That's when scientists started to rethink proteins. Proteins are responsible for maintaining and running a living cell, but now are they capable of ending them as well? Parkinson's is a disease that mostly affects the elderly. About 60,000 Americans are diagnosed with Parkinson's each year. It's a disease that is also caused by misfolded protein. A small area of the brain begins to die slowly because the substantia nigra, which causes the amount of dopamine to shrink. It causes the well-known symptoms of Parkinson: tremor and loss of motor skills. There is a remedy, but will only help for the short term. Giving patients shots of dopamine will help ease the symptoms, but in the long term, natural dopamine levels will continue to fall, which makes it harder for doctors. The more dopamine given, the less the brain will make. The misfolded protein in Parkinson is called Lewy bodies. They are abnormal clumps of protein that develop inside the nerve cell, which affect nearby cells. It's not exactly contagious, but the more Lewy bodies that go to more cells, the more clumps in the brain, and the less dopamine, which results in the patient passing away. Thank you so much for tuning into episode 1 of Fatal Flaws.